Toumani Camara, and you're listening to the Blazers Balcony with Brooke, Olzendam, and Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazer fans, and welcome to the Blazers Balcony, episode 135 of the Blazers Balcony. I am your co-host, Casey Holdahl. I am joined by my co-host at her palatial estate in Southwest Portland, Brooke Olzendam, wearing her Toumani Camara Toumanimania
We've talked
sweatshirt.
about this before.
We have.
Apparently, I wear it too much.
Brooke Olzendam.
Sorry.
I never got your name. Actually.
I forgot.
It's Brooke Olzendam.
That's
How
me.
are you doing?
I'm good, but you know what I'm really laughing at, other than the fact that I'm wearing the most ridiculous outfit, is you did not open my blinds when you got here.
I was going to, and then I was like, it's kind of crappy outside anyways, so is a really difference. Though I was going to go out for a walk or for a run to this
He's
morning,
opening them right now, by the way.
It was incredibly cold and rainy. And then as soon as I left the house, it was like kind of sunny, and I was like, I should try to get out there. But the podcast takes priority.
It sure does.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. Particularly
when your Portland Trailblazers are playing as well as they are.
It's bright in here now, guys, just so you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, now I can. It's more light on your outfit
my
too.
Toumania.
Brooke is wearing her Toumania, which heck of a run for.
I know he's been doing great.
Well, I was actually talking. about
for my sweatshirt.
The woman who.
Designed
the Toumani and the
cool.
DB Hooper. She's killing
it.
Doing a great job.
That's what's funny when we started. Whoever came up with DB Hooper, by the way, great. She came up with it, or she
came up with it.
She came. Oh, I did not know that. Sorry, girl. I did not know you came up with it. I thought someone else came up with it.
No, that was her.
And then they reached out to her. They're like, "You got to do something with this." Now I feel terrible.
And so much so that I saw that she posted yesterday that other people are already making merch, and so now she's like,
"That's
I'm going to wait because I want to think about it more." And I was like, "Yeah, good for you."
She cares.
Don't steal her. Don't steal her stuff.
That's now. I'm so glad you told me that, because I remember someone saying someone needs to make merch. I was like, well, I'm sure basketball is already all over it, but I did not know she actually came up with DB Hooper.
No, that's her.
Wow,
yeah.
That's double down.
So it's stroke of genius.
It's totally stroke of genius, and that means no one else should be allowed to make anything of it about it. She should get full rights to that.
I completely agree. I am big you came up with it. You should be the one.
Absolutely.
I'm even the kind of person where and this is stupid, but it's just me. I don't even really like when people use players' likenesses to sell things, because I'm always like, yeah, it's a big deal. No, but also it's
making money off
exactly. That is their likeness. If we were going to do that, we have to make it reasonable. So then it's not a big. It's always one of my dumb things. So I was like, you should really.
No, it's not a dumb thing, because I've always felt the same way. I'm kind of if it was on a bigger scale, you'd probably get sued for that.
Yeah.
But it's a little scale, in our community, people make stuff all the time, and I love it. I love it.
And it's all exactly the stuff that we do have a good collection of kind of makers here in Portland. I mean, the Trailblazers guys
people
do really good stuff too. And they hit the right tone with it. It's not you're not using people's face. For me, it's words and stuff. Awesome. Just don't maybe use a guy's face.
Yes, I feel that.
That's kind of my line.
Yeah, I agree with you. But so just to paint a picture of what I told Casey, I was like, "You're the luckiest guy in the world. You're the only person I wouldn't change for," because he usually comes over, 10 or 11, and I'm wearing just whatever I chose, whatever I found in my room to wear to bed, and I'm still wearing it. And so I'm currently wearing the Toumani sweatshirt, which is one of my favorites, as we just talked about.
Sweatshirt.
It's a great sweatshirt. I remember for Christmas I bought it my whole family one.
I do remember this.
And then,
more crew neck sweatshirts though, people.
Oh yeah, Casey's passionate about crew necks.
Crew neck sweatshirts. Stop. Do you?
Well, here you and I disagree
hoods.
on this.
Yes,
I'm a hoodie person, so but people are all kinds. You should make crew neck if you're going to make.
I can't wear a hoodie to a game. I can wear crew necks to games.
Why can't you wear a hoodie to a game?
I just feel like it. I feel like that's one step too casual.
I feel that.
Even so, I even wore an old, more polyester blazer issued sweatshirt to the game on Sunday. And Aaron Grossman was even like, "Oh, you're dressed down." And I was like, "Well, I always wear sweatshirts now. But I guess this is a little bit different of a sweatshirt." So even the difference between a cotton sweatshirt and a polyester sweatshirt was oh, hey, so it's a Sunday game, so you're kind of coming in a little schlubby. And I was like, "Oh, well, okay." So ergo, I could never wear a hood. That's too.
I honestly appreciate that, and I do, because I wear hoodies only every day of my life, but for if I were to go to a game in your role, I would totally understand not wearing a hoodie. obviously I have to wear like fancier stuff.
So you guys are you guys are the only ones that still have to actually dress up.
I know, but it's okay. I've really been embracing that. But my point is, I'm trying to explain my outfit right now because it's so ridiculous. So we can move on. So I'm just wearing normal gray sweats, but I'm wearing. I don't know if you noticed this. I'm wearing raccoon socks.
Yeah, they are raccoons. Yes, that's a good likeness of a raccoon.
It is, right? My friend Adriana bought me because I used to have a raccoon issue in my backyard, and I lost it on them one time, and it felt bad because I didn't realize it was a family. But I was like, no, because I thought they were gone because I had put like stuff in the backyard for them to go away. And then Theo was like, Mom, they're back. I was like, no. So I went and grabbed a wooden spoon of all things in my kitchen and went out and threw the wooden spoon at them. And that's like lore in our family, like when Brooke threw the wooden spoon at the raccoons because they did nothing. They looked at me like, that's all you got.
Raccoons will not be chased off like that.
So I've gotten a lot of raccoon presents ever, like that's like a thing for people in my family now. And then I was like, this outfit couldn't be weirder. Wait a second, I got something in my closet. So after Casey got here, just for the look, I went and put on my exploding whale hat.
Yeah. Brooke knows how I feel about the exploding whale stuff in Oregon.
So I put it on for him. So if you can picture this, literally dorks, if you could picture this outfit, it is one for the books.
Yeah, no, it's you're doing your thing out there, Brooklyn.
Thanks. That's all I want. I just wanted to explain like what we're dealing with here.
Yeah. And I would also say, too, that we both got our trading cards thanks to Bright Side Windows, and they both turned out great. You're talking about looking like a dork. You look very in your like blue suit thing with your blue necklace and, like your hair, like did a nice job curling there, too.
Thank you. I actually did have a decent hair day last night.
Those photos, they did it at 18, and I think it was maybe just a one-night thing.
Can I explain what happened last night when this happened? So I just did my rehearsal, which is usually a half hour before we go live on the pregame show. I get a text from Casey with 12 minutes before we go live. Hey, come take a picture with me, get our trading card. I was like, oh, that's yes. So I take my ears out and I said to my producer, Kyle, I was like, I'll be right back. I have to go take a picture with Casey. I race down. It's not that far from the set, so perfect. And then there's this huge line, and I see Casey. He's like 8 people back. I'm like, oh, no, I didn't realize there's a line. I'm not going to make it. And then our wonderful staff comes up. They're like, well, you can just go ahead. And I'm like, well, I don't want to cut. And I came here to get one with Casey. And then I find out I can't get one with Casey. They only allow you to do
they're like,
singles.
You don't do singles, which also, like, we couldn't have just stood together.
We could have totally done that.
Come on, guys.
I know. We should have done that. If we would have known like exactly what was happening, we would have just probably forced it.
Yeah.
But then there's people that I'm totally cutting in front of, which I'm like, I'm sorry. And then there was a family that I actually already talked to on Instagram today. They're
the
like,
Cokers, right?
No, not the Cokers.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, they're there too.
Yeah. Well, of course they're always there. But a different family, the ones that asked for high fives, like, do you give high fives?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they reached out. They're like, thanks for the high fives last night. No problem cutting. I was like, I didn't come there to cut.
I love it. I love my people out there because I know exactly how Brooke is going to take that. Like,
I've been thinking about it all morning.
I didn't say anything. I was just watching her, and I was like, okay. And I made a point. I was like, I'm going to wait in line.
You did.
With everyone.
But that what pissed me off is because I came to take a picture with you.
I know. And that put you in a situation where that wasn't my intention.
No, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Yeah, well, then Michael Holt cut the line too, and I was like, we're all looking, and like I was, elbowing people, like, you see these guys here cutting the line on us, like,
yeah, Casey
not
literally
like me,
went,
I'm waiting in line here with everybody else to.
Right.
Because I'm not going to put myself above the fans.
I wasn't putting myself above the fans. I came down to take a picture with you, and then Casey goes quiet and mute, which that doesn't happen very often, as I'm being called out for cutting, which I wasn't even trying to cut.
No one called you out. Like, one person
I got a text today saying, no worries about cutting last night. Thanks for the high fives.
That's awesome. Well, I had a nice conversation with Bob in line too, and another. I had quite a few conversations with people that listen to the podcast.
Oh, nice.
One young man you mentioned, he's like, "Yeah, I listen to the podcast you said no one listens to," and I was like, "Oh man, look at that's the running joke continues." So, but no, I just want it to be known I am a man of the people. I am you. We are legion. I would not elevate myself to. I
was put in a spot where I had to cut because
and also to you promote it too. So like that's a different thing. Is that like by you doing it, then you can talk about it on the broadcast. That's a good thing for the activation. It's a good thing for Brightside. That's the whole point, is that people know about it. So it makes perfect sense.
Thanks, Case.
But
a little too late for that, but okay.
Well, it's not. Hey, that's on you, Brooke. Like that's
really
your
wasn't.
own feelings of feeling
that
like
is on
you are
me.
being put on a pedestal that you're uncomfortable with.
I was uncomfortable.
Well, I know, but
I even stood on the wrong side of the camera, and everyone was making fun of me because I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, well, I mean, when you haven't waited in line, you don't see what the other people are doing, so you don't get a chance to really kind of understand the flow of the way that it works. So
that was terrible. I went back to my spot and I sat down. I was like, that is not how I thought that was going to go.
And they spelled their name wrong too, so they had to make another one for Brooke too. So not only did she cut the line, but she had to have two made because they got her first one wrong. Which you were exactly right though, Brooke. You mentioned on Instagram about like having one that's incorrect and the value of that. I literally thought, I was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Well, I've got a lot of people saying they would like it.
Yeah. No, I had other people being like, I want that card.
Yeah. No.
And at first I thought they were like, I want to get my photo taken. I was like, oh yeah, you totally should. They're like, no, I want your card.
I know. We should.
Like,
I wonder if we could go back and talk to our people and ask if we could get multiples.
There is some demand. So, I mean,
we could do like a little giveaway or something. I don't know. I mean,
we can hand them out at Spirit Mountain Casino.
There we go.
Where you elevate your game. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast, Spirit Mountain
thank
Casino.
you very much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
We really do. I guess we should talk some basketball because there's a lot of fun basketball to
talk
about.
I know. Sorry. I want to stray.
This is what we do, Brooke.
I know.
And after we were talking about it before we hit record that, last time we were podcasting, it was after the Memphis game, and it was like, geez, what's going on? Like, what are we doing here? Like, this.
Who knew where we'd be today?
It's time to kind of put up or shut up, and they put up, winning 3 straight, all against very good teams. You win the back-to-back versus the Timberwolves, both those games, and I would say handily, but like
I would
semi-comfortable victories.
Maybe not last game.
You got to the end, and you were like, yeah, we're going to win this thing.
Yeah.
The game versus the Hawks on Sunday, a little more touch and go,
but entertaining as heck.
But incredibly entertaining. Back and forth game. They go up by 13 in the first quarter. We go up by 13 in the third quarter. They go on a run. They take the lead. We come back. Shaedon hits a huge 3-pointer. Like, I think Shaedon scored the last 12 points. There was some scoring issues in the game last night. So I did notice too when I was writing my story, one, they didn't have they hadn't had a final box yet. And this was like hours after the game was over.
Wow.
And so I asked, and they're literally rescoring the entire game.
Oh my goodness.
To make sure that it's correct. So
So obviously it was.
Time. So yeah, so what? But the reason I mentioned that is because on the ESPN play-by-play, they only had Shaedon taking the first free throw and not the second free throw.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like, guys, I mean, you got 2. You at least got to say he made or missed the second one.
Oh, no.
So,
but I think he did miss the second one, didn't he? Well, he had two.
I think the first trip he missed the second one. The
Correct.
second trip I think he made.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and so to kind of turn around as kind of emphatically as they have, again, just a really great thing to happen. Like, you win the cup game versus the Timberwolves. That's fun. You win the next game versus the Timberwolves. You have Donovan Clingan has his first monster game. You
amazing.
have Shaedon Sharpe who looks fantastic. You got Dalano Banton who was doing Delano things.
DB.
You got guys on the bench coming up and playing great.
The bench
you got
has been
Rob Williams.
huge.
The bench. I mean, go back and look at the plus minuses. Like again, like you don't need
just
too
the
much
points.
of those, but it's like
Our bench outscored our starters last night.
In the win versus the Hawks on Sunday, Shaedon was the only player in the starting lineup that scored in double figures.
Yeah. All of that did happen, but something that, and I was talking to my dad as I usually do on the way home from games, like I'm just kind of going over it because I've told you guys he's a former coach, so I love talking to him about games after.
Hall of Fame coach.
Hall of Fame coach. Thank you, Case. So I said to him, I go, you know what? It's funny because at the time it felt like the biggest play or the biggest situation, then like so many things happened afterwards that you forget about it. When we did the coach's challenge and it turned into Trey getting 3 free throws that he wasn't going to get before, that felt like the sky was falling. Like, oh gosh, we took a risk. We have no more timeouts. Thank God he missed 1 of the 3, but like that turned into something that could really just absolutely crush your souls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it was like, not only did we not win the challenge, it became worse for us. And he got to shoot three free throws. So the fact that like that happened and then they're like, well, it happened. You just move on. We don't have timeouts, so we just got to do what we got to do. And then Shaedon went off, like, as you mentioned, 11 straight points. But like, that was something that like felt like years ago. But at the time, I'm like, oh, that was the worst thing that could have happened. That's probably it for us. That's what my mom usually says, like in the second quarter of games. Well, that's the game. So I felt like that's the game, but it wasn't. And then I ended up forgetting about it until afterwards. So just like the wherewithal to, and just, I don't know, they were steadfast. They didn't, little things like that did not let them, like, it wasn't an excuse. Like, well, I mean, that's really too bad. I don't know if we're going to, recover from that.
Yeah.
I forgot it even happened until after the game.
Resilience.
Resilience is the word.
They've showed in the last couple games that they did not show versus the Grizzlies. Like, that was a resilient, free effort versus the Grizzlies.
Totally.
And then, you come out and you get the 2 wins versus the Timberwolves. And yeah, to your point, Brooke, like, they looked terrible to start the game versus the Hawks. Like, I think it was like 25 to 9. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I always remember thinking too, like, one, it felt like the arena was really quiet as it was anyways. It's Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. And I just remember thinking, I was like, man, we had those 2 great games and people are kind of starting to get a little excited about the team. And then we're just going to come out here and just lay an egg. Like,
I know.
And so they rallied back from that and, I think they got it to 8 by the half.
It was 8, yep.
And then in the third quarter, third quarters, which have been an issue for this team throughout this season.
No longer, though.
Come out and blow the doors off. I think they
38-17.
Yeah, 38-17. I think they shot like 63% from the field, 75% from 3. Held, I think the Hawks to like 1 of 7 shooting from 3, and then maybe like 35% field goal shooting. Which again, it's like that's resilience. Like, and that is a level of kind of determination, and again, just willingness to be like, game's not over, guys. We got to roll with some of these punches that I feel like we just hadn't seen earlier on in the season, and that's kind of. Performances are going to come and go, and guys are going to hit shots, and they're not going to hit shots, and you're going to come up against teams that maybe you're not going to win against. But like having the ability to be like, okay, we have to keep playing, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, let's at least give ourselves a chance by not throwing in the towel on this. I think that's something that will endure despite whether or not guys are hitting shots on any given night, or if the other team is really hitting shots. The other thing I wanted to mention is real fast too, because I ended up bleeding because I didn't want to get yelled at, but I can say it on the podcast. Did you notice how annoyed Josh Tiven was in that review?
Well, Kevin talked about it in the game.
Oh, he did? Okay, good for Kevin.
No, it was Lamar. Lamar's like, wow, geez, extra.
Yeah, he's like, all he did was stop. And it was like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah,
like,
Lamar called him out.
Oh, yeah, Trae Young's just walking around, and all of a sudden he just decided to stop, and Toumani ran into him. It was just, like, what's the big deal? It's like, dude, you know exactly what he's doing there. You can say it's not a foul, and the challenge isn't good.
Sass
but,
with
like, but don't come in here and be like, well, he's just stopped, and all, and why are we even bothering with this review? It's like, dude, man, get out of here with that.
That is so funny you said that, because Lamar, that's like kind
good
of
for Lamar,
bit out of, well, no, actually, I wouldn't say that's out of Lamar's character. He does call people out, which I'm like, good for you, Lamar. And he did say something. He's like, well, geez, like, because you could not say something about it. It was very obvious.
And especially after Bill Kennedy, his melodic kind of like the way that he delivers, and then you got Tiven out there just being like, yeah. Stupid review. Of course it's not. Of course it's three free throws for Trae Young. How dare you?
But wasted my time doing this.
And I feel like there's definitely a vein of that with some of the officials. I think where it's like, how dare you question my call by challenging
there's
this?
a reason there is a challenge, and those have changed games, and but there was something else Lamar said, like he says under that point, like where it does take a lot for someone who's made a decision. Said it, this is it, and then you have to go back and review it and say, okay, I was wrong. Like that sucks. Like that's it's everyone's life. Like if you have to go back and say, yeah, I made a mistake, but you're on a national stage and you're in charge of saying it.
It's important to remember too that it's not about you. It's about the players.
Correct.
Like that's what people are here for. They're not here to be like, oh, good, the referee's got it right.
Yeah,
they're good. Their feelings weren't hurt. Okay,
that's true. But yeah,
that's important. I mean, I hear you, and you're correct too. But it's like. That's not.
You want to get it right.
Yeah, exactly. Which also, since you mentioned Lamar too, so Lamar is barking on
so much
the
barking
broadcast
last
now?
night. So much barking.
Okay, like I need to go back and watch them. Because,
Yeah, it was
I typically
great.
like to. A lot of times I'll like have it on in the background, like when I'm kind of doing something else.
Sure.
So I'll need to turn it up to.
No, it was great because he did it early in the game. I believe it was about Toumani in his
Yeah,
defense.
I feel like I've always heard it within the context of Toumani.
I think it's specific to Toumani. So, but he did it a couple times, and then he did it later, like on another level where he like did it and then kept going, and like gave it even more energy, and it was awesome. It was hilarious because, I mean, Lamar's really emphatic when he does like highlights and stuff, and in game, and so there's no surprise that it was energized and it was fun and it was over the top. But it was even more so like the second time around, or maybe it was even the third. But it was late in the game, nothing was decided yet. So the fact that like Toumani's throwing himself out there and just diving all over the place. He did the barking even more. And I checked Twitter. I was like, people are going to love this. And they were. They're like, Lamar barking is the best thing in the world. And it was really good. It was really, really good. And because Kevin's the best, Lamar's the best. But like when those two are like on their A game, which they always are, but like, even a little more elevated.
When the play warrants like
totally.
A certain level of enthusiasm.
And that's exactly what the Atlanta late game brought out of them. And it was chef's kiss. It was so fun.
Yeah, I'll have to go back. I'm curious to see like if maybe we could make like a mix where like
yes,
like DMX.
Oh, for sure.
And, like we do like the DMX barking, but then put Lamar barking in instead of
someone.
DMX, so.
Someone listening, I know you will. Go do it. I'm trying to think if I could do a reenactment.
Knock, open up the door. It's real.
Have Casey do the rap.
No, no. I wouldn't just go ahead and stop right there.
And can I come in with like one of those like the ladies like with a hook like
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Which, by the way, too, since you mentioned that, I wasn't going to mention this necessarily, but En Vogue will be playing Spirit Mount Casino on December 3rd. 13th.
That's my go-to karaoke.
I mean, you want to talk about like that?
Oh, that's all me
at Spirit Mount Casino, December 13th.
Oh,
check it out.
That's my high school. That's my I loved En Vogue. Oh no, trust me, I could sing you every single song.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm not trying to tell you. Exactly.
No, you're just telling people. Yeah, I get it.
That was too like didn't they like that was back when they would show videos on regular TV, like when they would like release them, and I feel like there was an En Vogue video that
whoa
yeah it was and they showed it like after In Living Color or something like that, like, and
they were on a stage and it was I think it was like a part of it was black and white, even like that's really coming back to me
never
right
gonna
now.
Get it exactly.
yeah they're on the stage and they're dressed like in like old time, like back in the 50s, like they're like it was 1950s I think, and they have like strapless dresses and they're like singing on a stage, and it was like a throwback. I can see it all right now.
For a breakdown.
Yes, and then they did and then they would show each of them doing their own little breakdown. I can see it all right now.
They should bring that back.
They should.
Like I know that there's not a lot of videos being made anymore, but like when someone big does make a video, like show it like after Monday Night Football or something like that. Like bring that back.
I agree.
That was good. I know they do that for like Thursday, like on Amazon, but it's always some artists where it's like this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And again, I don't want to see a concert. Like I want you to make a video that you're releasing with Macaulay Culkin, and it's the black and white video that Michael Jackson is.
I forgot about that.
Again. I know for a fact that because they spoofed that on A Living Color. Maybe it did come out after this. In the ways they used to do that every now and then.
They should, but it's a lost art. Like people don't make videos anymore because there's no platform except on their own socials.
Right. Which like I noticed that like they still have like the MTV Music Awards,
and they still have Video of the Year.
Right. And it's like,
I mean, I believe they do. I assume they do.
I feel like we talked about this last show. This is probably
maybe.
Too much overlap.
Sorry, we do this
when
sometimes.
There's so much good basketball.
I know. Gosh.
So let's get to these last three games, Brooklyn. So it started off on Tuesday. Like I said, the NBA Cup game, which by the way. Best NBA Cup court.
By far. I was geeking out over it.
Bruce took like a lot of. I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know exactly what Bruce is going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to go up into
to
the
the top.
rafters, and he's going to shoot down on like the center court. He's going to get some guys that are in there at certain times, and I was like, man, it's going to look great.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Bam,
bam, bam.
Sneaky Bruce strikes again.
Trailblazers winning that one 122-108 on Tuesday. Particularly, again, a ridiculous bounce back victory for your Portland Trailblazers. And that one was That was the Robert Williams game. So 19 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks.
My dog.
9 out of 10 from the field in just 25 minutes. Dalano Banton was also great in that one. 12 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds for Dalano. 14 points for Scoot Henderson and 4 rebounds as well. Another guy, too, that's been playing really well. I mean, we'll talk about him in a second. Chris Murray, too.
Chris Murray.
Just
consistent.
Both him and Rayan, they're only getting in for 7 or 8 minutes now.
But they're
doing something.
They're doing something.
Which a lot of times, that,
Coach has been giving Chris Murray a ton of credit.
And they deserve it because, they've really been kind of making that happen. 17 points for Shaedon in that one, 21 points for Jeremy, and 8 assists for Jeremy in that game as well, which, that's kind of been one thing that I've seen people complain about with Jeremy sometimes is he kind of gets into his rhythm in offense, and that's kind of what it is. But he really made a point of creating in that game too, which I think was probably maybe a ancillary benefit of kind of the discussions they had on Monday after that Grizzlies game. 14 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 4 rebounds for Toumani Camara as well. So that game kind of got them back on the right track. And then you kind of assume the next night versus the Timberwolves, when you've covered the NBA for a while, you're like, plucky team gets one win, but then the next night, the kind of the team with more talent, as the Timberwolves have more talent, a Western Conference Finals contender, I would say, you kind of assume they're going to come in and they're going to get you on that one. And to that point, the spread was actually higher in the second game after the Blazers won it. But yet, your Portland Trail Blazers, despite not having Anthony Simons, who is out with illness, and DeAndre Ayton, who is out with a finger sprain, come out and get the second win as well. 106-98, behind 33 points from Shaedon Sharpe, 6 rebounds as well, 17 points, 12 rebounds, 8 blocks from Donovan Clingan. Donovan, again,
Rookie of the Year,
having his big night, putting up, that's a Rookie of the Year type performance. The stuff, as the PR staff put out, the players who were rookies who have put up 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 blocks in a game are all Hall of Famers. And there's only 6 or 7 that have ever done that anyways.
Right.
That's really impressive. And in 31 minutes too, that's kind of the thing with Donovan as a young guy and a big guy, the speed and the pace of NBA game. And, it takes a while to get accustomed to that. Going out and playing 31 minutes in that
and he
game,
said he wasn't even tired.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, he was.
Well, I love that he said he wasn't.
He got hit in the leg and he had to come out I was like, that kid is gassed.
Well,
and I thought
I would be too.
Well, no, and of course, it makes sense.
But I love that he was like, "No, I'm fine.
But he's a competitor you want to play,
right?
And that's particularly in crunch time. It's it's get me out there. I can get this out for another 2 minutes. And you notice it more when you're a big guy because you're already kind of lumbering anyways. But Donovan was ridiculous in that game. Again, 13 points, 5 assists for Dalano as well in the second victory in the back-to-back versus the Timberwolves. And then they have 3 days off, and then they host the Atlanta Hawks, a team that is playing really good basketball right now, and just beat the Celtics. Really put it on the Wizards as well before coming out to start an West Coast road trip in Portland. As I mentioned, jump out all over the Blazers at that point in time. You're like, maybe the kind of this is the letdown game. Quinn Snyder teams too, man. They play really. They play
because he demands
basketball.
it.
Exactly. He's getting in their faces if they're not.
And he had those red glasses on last night.
Well, yeah. Someone of you mentioned that. They're like, I think those glasses are. It's probably. I think it was actually Joe Simon. It was like, I think those glasses probably cost more than my car, basically. So he's always a guy too, where I wouldn't say he's got great style, but he has a style.
Oh, he has a style. Yeah. He has a je ne sais quoi. There's something about Quinn Snyder.
That's what it is.
Yeah. There and he's from our area. He's up in. He's from Mercer Island.
Right. Yeah, he's a Washingtonian.
Right? Yeah. He played at Mercer, played at Mercer Island, and there's this very legendary story about when Mercer Island played Shadle Park High School, which was where I went. Well before I was around.
Well, and Mercer Island's got to be kind of like a tawny kind of thing, right? Because that's
it's the richest.
Super rich.
Yeah, no, the super rich. Yeah. It's an island. Yeah. And so the lore is after Shadle ended up beating them in the playoffs. I don't know if it was for the title. So if people are listening and know this story, I'm so sorry. I think it was for the title. I think it was for the title. And Mercer Island lost some sort of controversial play, and their coach, who's a legend, gets up on the scorers table, right? Because the game was not played at Mercer Island; it was somewhere else, probably Tacoma. I'm just guessing. And gets up on the scorers table, grabs the mic from the Mark Mason of that time, grabs it and looks at all the fans of Mercer Island and says, we were screwed. Something like, we were screwed. Everyone, get in your cars. We're going back to the Rock, which is what they call Mercer Island, the Rock. And everyone's like, yeah, like in their pitchforks, and gets in their cars and drives back to their palatial estates.
And, yeah, exactly.
And they go back, and they're still pissed to this day.
And while the Shaedon Park kids are hitchhiking home and getting like sitting in the back of trucks and
totally, like 7 in the back.
Brat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I had a friend tell him that story. I was like, if you ever see him, like, I knew he was like lived in that city, like where he coached. If you ever see him, you got to bring up that story. And he said he did, and he got so pissed. He was like, "Don't talk to me about that game."
Don't you ever mention Shaedon Park to me again?
Yeah,
How dare you?
That's Quinn Snyder asked.
Coach of Quinn Snyder did a heck of a job, but was not able to secure the victory on Sunday afternoon. Once again, your Portland Trailblazers winning 114-110 in front of a real great crowd. I was so glad. When you have those afternoon games,
yeah, there's so many kids,
a lot of fans, a lot of kids come out, and you're really like, boy, I really hope that they can turn in this, because like, I feel like we're kind of at an inflection point. I would say just in sports that like we gotta start capturing some of these kids. Like there's a lot of everyone wants their time. The YouTubes and the TikToks are kind of eating up some of the space that used to go to things like sports. So like any opportunity you have to get enthusiasm from kids for your sport is definitely a good thing, which I also, we talked about the bright side stuff, like so many fun activations in that game as well.
To your point, there was 2 kids. So where I sit at the end of the bench in the tunnel, right? I'm right next to that first row there. Like, so I always chat with those people. There are these 2 kids on that, exactly what you're talking about, on the verge where they could go left and be stuck in a room playing video games. They were like 10, 11. These kids were amazing. They had Shaedon Sharpe jerseys on, and they stood the entire time screaming, high-fiving, dancing at every timeout, never sat down. One time their water flew at me because he accidentally kicked it. We got it back to him. And when I had Donovan's rings last night, I did a story on Donovan's UConn national championship rings. They're like, "Can we see those?" I was like, "Yeah, I have them." So I was showing them to them, and they were totally into it. I was like, so when you just said that, I'm like, that's what made me think, like, I love this. Like, I want to win for these kids right here, because it is a defining moment where, like, they're going to go all in. They seem to be already all in, but still, like, give these kids a win today. So I'm totally with you. And I feel like I saw so many first games, my first Blazers game, all over the concourse, and it was to your point, to end that game with that exciting win. I think that's something that's like a core memory.
Yeah,
on a Sunday afternoon with their families.
Yeah, if you were a kid and that was like one of the first games you've been to, like you'll remember that one, which is great. And so, it's great to win anyways, but it's great to win at home, and particularly in situations where you're like, hey, people are watching. And again, like after having 2 really good wins, you got 3 days off. So then at that point, everyone is like, okay, like, we'll see and I don't know about you, Brooke, but like my requests for like, hey, you maybe be able to get tickets, because like I've been like, hey, if you want tickets, just let me know. I got you. And now I'm like, well, maybe not so much, because like I feel like, again, it's 3 games, but they're playing a brand of basketball that's fun.
It is.
The young players are having success, and that's what people want to see. Is they want to see young guys come out, and again, like it doesn't always have to be about wins, but it has to be about like, hey, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, what's the future supposed to be for this team? And when you have Shaedon come out and have a great game, obviously, 32 points for Shaedon in the victory versus the Hawks, 5 assists, 3 steals, two steals late in the game,
huge steals.
Like really. The second one I think was kind of Toumani created it, but hey, man, he got his hands on it, so that's
rough.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was terrible. I just said rough. That was not what Lamar did.
Yeah, what is the nature of Lamar?
He did a lot of like picturing a dog with a bone or like a piece, like a rope, going. Yeah. That's what it was. Man, that was not good what I just did, but you can picture it. Yeah. You heard it, like, guys, if you were listening last night.
And again, so like to have a guy like Shaedon who is young and exciting and has, I think people have kind of started being like, boy, this guy can maybe be something. And I also hear too that the young ladies like Shaedon as well. So
can I tell a quick story from last night about that? So I have had numerous young ladies.
I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah.
Numerous young ladies tell me They love Shaedon. Shaedon's their favorite. I've had dads come up to me like, can you talk to my daughter? Because she wants to ask you about Shaedon. She has a huge crush on Shaedon. And so whenever that happens, I'm like, you're not alone, but I was up on, there's this younger girl. I would say she's 13. And I talk to her all the time. God, I'm so bad at names. I think it's Sophia. And every time I see her, I give her the biggest hug. And her and her dad come to a lot of games. And she has dark curly hair, and she's just the cutest. Last night, as I'm going up to halftime, right, I'm walking towards the stage, and I hadn't seen her yet that night, but she was there. She sprints over to me and jumps into my arms like out of a movie. I was like, "Hi, oh my gosh, hi!" And she's like, "We're spinning." I'm like, "How are you?" And she's like, "I have to ask you something." I'm like, "What?" I thought she was gonna be like, I don't know what I thought, but she goes,
"You thought it was gonna be about you?"
Yeah, I did.
Fair enough.
She was not about me, and she's like, I love Shaedon so much. Like, I just love him so much. Is there any way you can set something up so we can meet? I go, girl, I would love to. That is something I'm definitely not allowed to do.
That's verboten.
That is something that I would. I can't do that. I mean, I love that for you, and I hope one day that you will meet him, and it's going to be glorious. But I cannot set up a meet and greet. But I did say, if I ever see you like down closer to the floor, and I happen to be down there, and Shaedon happens to be around there, I will point you out to him. I will do that, but I cannot like formally set up a lunch. And she was very sweet about it. She's like, okay, I understand. I go, but if the stars align and we're all in the same area.
Yeah, she's shooting her shot, She's
shooting her shot.
Good for you.
And she was so cute. She stayed the whole halftime and waited till afterwards and said, thank you again. She's just the cutest. And so, yes, I would say the number one person I'm asked about is Shaedon, and it's always by 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Always. And that they're like, just so you know, I love him, and like I'm really his number one fan. I'm like, you're the fifth 13-year-old girl to tell me that.
We gotta
today.
maybe have a contest to be like, who is really Shaedon's
That's a great
fan?
And then you have to like go out and do like an act or some sort of like say like your stance, like why you're the number one fan.
You
have to prove it, make your case.
Do like a routine,
like,
a
do
debate
something
club kind of thing, like a graph
or fight club. Just start fighting the other girls.
Some 13-year-old girl fight club. Boy, we could.
Oh,
that's
terrible.
Make some money on that.
Let's change that into the ball thing where the girls they get into the balls at halftime, like Todd Bosman does with the like we just had the other night.
Which again, like I'm always shocked that we're allowed to do that.
I know. I mean, and no one's ever had like. Well, I shouldn't even say it.
Yes. But don't even jinx that. And Boz would be like, "Well, actually,
we can't talk about it.
We just ride with it."
They sign an NDA.
Yeah, exactly. Or we're indemnified from any injuries they might sustain. But getting back to that game too, another guy we haven't talked about. He's moved to the bench is Deni Avdija, who after a really kind of tough start to the season for him, and I know he's still like I talked to him a couple times. I know he's still not super happy about kind of the way he's playing right now, but really having an impact on the team. 25 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3 for 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block in 25 minutes. And I feel like they're getting great production from Deni right now that to be frank, they weren't getting from him in the starting lineup. So I think it's, no guy likes to get demoted, but I think at least when you're like, hey, but I'm actually like, helping more now. I think that really kind of helps smooth that along a little bit. And,
he's a competitor.
Exactly. And he wants to win. And so it's like, and he's kind of the new guy. So it's like, I think that he's kind of finding his way, and so to have some success coming off the bench, I think is super important for Deni. So that's great to see too. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal and a block for Robert Williams, who again, like I
love Rob.
I love Rob so much.
Everyone loves Rob.
Like everything he does, like, from on the court, off the court, it's just like, dude,
he's a perfect
awesome.
human.
Like, he's the best. And I feel like he I won't say. I feel like him and Shaedon have a little bit of like he looks to me kind of like an older version of Shaedon, and that might just be the locks, but maybe. Like I feel like there's
resemblance.
Yeah, I think that, and also too, like anytime you talk to Rob about his kid, like it's always, oh man,
I saw him in the hallway the other day, and we were on the road actually. I can't remember where we were, but he was trying to get a hold of his kid in the hallway before the game, and I was like, hi, oh sorry, are you on the phone? He's like, I want to try to get a hold of my kid before the game starts, and he was finally did. I was like, I kind of waited around to make sure he did. I was like, oh, nailed it, he got it, and he was so cute. I've
kind of one of my questions with Rob is I'm always like, what's the last time you laughed about something? And it was during the interview that we did together, and he was mentioning, he's like, I called my son after the game. and I could tell that like he was basically asleep. And he was just talking nonsense the entire time, and I was like, "Man, just go to sleep, kid." And but he wanted to talk about the game, but like he's like the stuff he was saying didn't make any sense because
That's
like
cute.
when you're half out of
Yes.
it, like you're just kind of stream of consciousness.
Totally.
So yeah, love everything that Rob's able to do right now. Love seeing him back out there, and I hope nothing but the greatest things for Rob. And then you had Dalano, who again I think. At this point in time, Dalano, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block in 26 minutes. Scoot Henderson having a nice game, too. His shot wasn't
Scoot
going,
was
he was
good.
3 of 6, but he did have 10 assists in that game, which is great. But they're really, at this point, I think you have to, I debate with myself, like, is this Dalano? Like, is this who he is?
I think it is.
Because if it is, and it seems to me like between last season, because he played a lot in the last season, and the role that he's played through the first 11, 12 games this season, like it just feels like it feels like this is
Too
who he
good to
is.
be true?
Like, well, not even just not that so much, but it's just like, guys can have like great runs, and then sometimes it kind of trickles off or fades off a little bit, particularly as other teams kind of get up to speed and they're like, okay, we kind of know what this guy's doing, so let's try to mitigate those things. I don't think there's any mitigating what Delano's been doing, and I think that I think this is just the player he is.
I
And
do too.
if he is going to be this good, and the other thing about Dalano too is that he just gives them something else at the point guard position that like Ant and Scoot don't provide, and it's almost kind of hard to put your finger on it a little bit, but like it's the part of it, I think, is the energy. Part of it is kind of the herky-jerky kind of way that he plays.
The defense doesn't know what to do with him.
Like his size, too, I think it is confounding for a lot of teams, at least at that guard position. Again, his ability to get into the lane is like, I think I said, it was like, you're getting in the lane so easy. And it was like, it's not easy. And I was like, you're right, Delano. Like, I
make
realize
it look
it's not
easy.
easy. But just, he's, to go from like where he was at in Toronto, where he was kind of a G League guy and playing every now and then. And I think maybe people even just kind of thought it was like, yeah, Delano's from Toronto, so that's why we got him. And yeah, it's kind of a fun story. And then he goes to Boston, and he doesn't get to play a whole lot in Boston, which you kind of understand because they ended up being in the middle of a championship run, and obviously he played a little part of that. But like when you're the new guy on the team and they already have kind of their rotation kind of squared away, not a whole lot of opportunities there for a guy like Delano. So then he comes to Portland and plays, quite a bit towards the end of the season. Improves his shot too, which is that's the thing for Delano as well, that like it's hard to be a guard in the NBA if you're not a passable 3-point shooter. He wasn't so much before. At least right now,
He's taking
is.
Dame threes.
Yeah, and he's hitting them, and like they look nice,
They
like
do.
smooth coming off his fingers. So like, I think Delano is one of. I think between Dalano and then the return of Shaedon and Rob, like that to me really feels like those are the kind of the biggest reasons why they've been able to have some success, or at least kind of turn things around from where they're at a week and a half ago. And at this point too, like I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be sustainable. Now they're going out on the road here. They're after a 4-game homestand. They go 3-1 on the homestand, which is great. They've won 3 games in a row now for the first time in over a year. Now you got to kind of go do it on the road. You're playing a really tough Oklahoma City team. You got back-to-back games versus a Rockets team that looks really good, and they haven't really played a whole lot of people, but they've been punking teams too. And the first one is an NBA Cup game, so they're a little extra juice in that one as well. And then you have the Grizzlies, who put it to you on Sunday, or a week from Sunday, and then you finish off with the Pacers. So a difficult trip, some pretty good teams in that stretch. And so now it's a question of whether or not they're able to kind of go out on the road and do the things that they were able to do for the last couple of games at home.
Well, I had a lot to add to that. I'm trying to remember every little detail, but
you should interrupt me, Brooke. By the way, just do it.
I'm not an interrupter.
Well, you should.
So Delano Coach Billups, and you were there, so was asked last night, with the way he's playing, do you consider him to start? Which is a valid question. And I really like Chauncey's answer, though. He's like, I think he's exactly where he needs to be.
I think he's exactly right.
And you come off the bench. And that's why when we've been winning games, as we mentioned earlier, because of our bench production. So you get this burst of energy off the bench. Like, and let's be honest, beginning of the Atlanta game, there was not a lot of energy in that starting lineup. That's why he played 10 guys in like 10 minutes. So I think that, like, I agree with him that Dalano coming off the bench is like, bam, like instant offense. So I do understand the argument for him starting, but at the same time, I like when he goes in the game, I'm like, here we go. So, and also to Deni, like, Deni did a bunch of stuff the last game for sure, the Atlanta game for sure, but also the two Minnesota games where he's coming in and flying around and doing almost Toumani-esque things where he's completely altering the game and things you wouldn't see in the box score. But like, he is coming in and providing, like, I think what he does is like contagious. Like when you see Deni flying around, moving quick, getting in passing lanes, getting rebounds he has no business getting. You want to play that hard too. You want to do so. I think that I'm so happy for Deni because I could tell that he was getting frustrated with himself. Yeah. So that's great. And then Rob, we all love Rob, and I don't even need to add to that. But yes, I think all those things, especially those two guys, as you mentioned, Rob and Shaedon coming back, and then Deni's play elevated, Dalano coming in and just messing ish up. Like it's exciting basketball. And I think that's when you're talking about like kids getting involved. These are the kind of teams that like that fan base like jumps on. Like, it's exciting basketball. You want to watch these guys fly around, throw themselves everywhere, put their bodies on the line. And also Donovan too, last night or the Atlanta game when he wasn't even really in the scuffle. It was just like a jump ball. And then Toumani comes up to fight for his honor. I love that kind of stuff. And then, just watching Donovan like, what? Well, he doesn't care. He's going to go for every single ball there is on every rebound. And I love that Toumani kind of came up. He's like, whoa, watch it. Like, that's my rookie. And when it kind of got to that point, I'm like, we got to win this game. Like, we have got to win this game. And it was just overall a wonderful win. And they've all been great. I mean, that one, the first Minnesota win after the rough Memphis game was like, this is amazing. Like you could not ask for a better bounce back, a better response from, coach saying that's not who we are. And I even said that to Rob. I was like, you guys, all of you said that's not who we are. Is this who you are? And he's like, yes, this is who we are. This is what we strive to be. And if you can just see that effort and not getting, even when you get down 25-9, not just being like, well, tonight's not our night, fighting back, staying, as you mentioned, resilience. That's all you want to see. And we've seen it the last 3 games. And if you can show that on the road, maybe make a little run here. Who knows? I mean, we're on a run right now, but continue the run. I mean, I think it'll be, I don't want to say a true test, but you mentioned just OKC, very dynamic team, a kind of a blueprint of what the Blazers would like to be. Yeah. So that's going to be a real interesting game to me, like to kick off the road trip, how they show up to that game. Again, I don't want to say a test. I don't like that, but just to see where they're at.
A measuring stick.
A measuring stick, if you will.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say about that.
Well, and since you are heading out on the road, I'm not going on this.
Boo!
Next Brooke is taking the Blazers balcony on the road by herself. And she's going to be staying in a lot of different towns, different hotels. And a great hotel to stay at, Brooke, is a hotel at Spirit Mountain Casino with a variety of rooms from lavish premium suites to charming classic standards. The hotel at Spirit Mountain Casino has a type of room for everybody. Our rooms have all the essentials from high-speed Wi-Fi to 24-hour front desk service. A lot of places you don't get 24-hour service anymore. And particularly
I feel like on the road, when we're on the road, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. And so we get in late sometimes, and it's like, I won't say there's always issues, but every now and then there's like an issue with your room, and you're like, I need someone to fix this here. At Spirit Mountain Casino, they got you taken care of. You can choose from any room that best suits you and book right now. Also, they're having a dinner at Spirit Mountain Casino on Thanksgiving. So if you want to take the family, you don't want to maybe cook, but you want to have some delicious food, maybe watch some football, maybe place some wagers on some football, maybe play some slots, and stay the night at Spirit Mountain Casino. They have all kinds of packages for you. Go to spiritmountcasino.com, elevate your game. Thank you so much, Spirit Mountain Casino, for being a part of this. And by the way, too, the Blazers have covered in 3 straight games and all those wins. Now they were, I was a bit surprised they were underdogs versus the Hawks. Hawks are a pretty good team, but I thought after getting 2 really good,
we get no respect.
We get no respect. Yeah, I don't think we've actually been favored yet, and that happened last year. Like, we weren't favored in a game until I think like mid-January. So we'll see. We'll see if the Blazers can. I mean, they could go into Oklahoma City and beat Oklahoma City. They're going to be favored in probably whatever
Houston.
the next game would be, but we'll see about that. Though again, Houston has played really good too. And you're right about being on a run too, Brooke. And my thing too would be like, if nothing else, sustain the run through tournament group play, because we need to get to Las Vegas. And I actually have to correct something. I think I'd said that after group play it goes to Vegas. It doesn't. So it's group play, and then when you advance to the knockout round, the first game, the quarterfinals in the knockout round are actually just in whatever team gets the home court, and then it's the semifinals and the finals that are in Vegas. So we have to at least get to the semifinals in order to get our trip to Vegas.
And Houston is our group play, our next.
So Houston is our next.
The first or the second game?
The first game.
Okay.
So the first game is Friday. So tournament games are on Tuesdays and Fridays. You were right about that, by the way, too. I said Thursdays. It's Fridays. And so they played the Timberwolves on Tuesday. They'll play the Houston Rockets on Friday. And I think their next tournament game after that is at home versus the Kings. And then their last one is on the road versus the Clippers. And then at that point in time, we'll see where they're at. But they're already, I think they're at least up right now. They were in first place because of the point differential. I think actually the Rockets beat the Clippers by like 25 in their most recent tournament games. So I think the Rockets are in the lead right now. But if the Blazers are able to go into Houston and get that first game,
that'd be sick.
I think you start getting a little excited about the NBA
trip.
Cup. Exactly. Yeah. You just book the tickets, and if they don't make it, then you just got a reason to go anyways. So yeah. Well, dang. Now I have to go to Las Vegas. How dare me?
How will I do this?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up on this edition of the Blazers Balcony, episode 135 of the Blazers Balcony, presented by Spirit Mount Casino. I like to say presented or sponsored, or I like to throw in a different word every time, like
you do that then.
The various ways that
you
can be supported. But some really good basketball right now. As I mentioned, Trailblazers with Monday and Tuesday off, heading out to Oklahoma City Tuesday afternoon to face the Thunder on Wednesday. Day off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, back-to-back versus the Houston Rockets. Day off on Sunday, Memphis, I believe, on Monday. Day off on Tuesday, Pacers on Wednesday, and then back home just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy road trip.
Yeah, it's a bounder. It's a lot of moving around. And again, I just hate finishing with an Eastern Conference team. I just don't feel like that should happen. Even if the Eastern Conference team is close, I think the flight from Indianapolis is probably closer than the flight from Memphis.
I don't think it's much different.
Probably, once that area of the country is where things are all located. That's not for me. I'm a West Coast.
Well, you're gonna
guy,
be home anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
I'm not going to be there anyways. So I will be watching on KATU 2.2 or 2.1 or Blazer Vision, just like the rest of you. I have my antenna. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Hopefully, get some Lamar barking.
You will. You definitely will.
Some Kevin going.
And me just going.
And Brooke being like, "Oh, hey, come on!" It's like Beaker.
I just like Beaker. I don't sound like that.
You don't sound like that.
No, I do not sound like that. No, you'll get some stellar interviews.
Hopefully some stellar post game interviews, and and again, like wins are nice, but the most important thing about those is that it gives Brooke an opportunity to do the post game, which is it's really all about. That's the whole point of getting out there is winning. Is Brooke's post game. Exactly.
Honestly, though, it is really fun, because as you guys know, last year, not as many wins, and so this year it's really fun to sit there and think about, okay, who should, it's because it's not been easy. Like that other night with Donovan post game, that could easily have been a Shaedon post game. But you think, who do the fans want to hear from? Who do they want to, who do they expect to see, after this game? And it was definitely Donovan. And, so that's just kind of fun to plan for it when you feel like, okay, this one, even Atlanta, where it was, who knew towards the end of that game. So I was like, it's still got to be Shaedon. And unless it's a game winner, that's what I love. Who is it when it comes down to a last minute shot? It's going to be the game winner or Shaedon, or game winner or Anthony, whatever, you plan it. And then you don't know who it's going to be until literally the game is over and you're rushing out and you're yelling to PR, it's going to be Shaedon. So anyways, I love the whole planning of the post game interview. And then it's just fun. It's a perfect way to end the game after a win. It's just okay, done. Now run up to post game, and when I'm at home, do post game. But on the road, Then after that, as Casey knows, because he's with me every time, but we go into, post-game press conference with Chauncey. That's always fun after a win. And then locker room's always fun after a win. Everything's better when you win.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
And I just want to say, too, that, unfortunately, and maybe this will change if the team starts winning more, but, not much of a traveling media contingent for the Trailblazers, and so usually it's Brooke and myself for the most part, and whoever is in town.
It's gonna be me.
It's all on Brooke's back. Brooke is running pre. She's running post. She's going to be your eyes, ears, voice, touch.
Ooh.
Hear, whatever for on the road for those 5 games.
Yes.
So. If you're not following Brooke Olzendam on socials already, you probably should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're Brooke is our journalist for the next week. I mean, you're always a journalist, but you're our only journalist. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it reminds me of the last game of the year on the road where you were not on that one, I think. And yeah, no, I know you weren't because it was just me in the post-game press conference. And so after Chauncey and I were done talking, I was like, thanks for the one-on-one time, Coach.
Nice talk, yeah.
Because it's just me.
Well, it's like meeting with your therapist or something. You're like, let's get a couch in here. I do want to say, too, I'm on a pretty good run right now of asking stupid questions that make the broadcast. So I do feel like I've been pitching in.
Oh, God, that cup question. Oh, that was like the highlight of my life.
I had the cup question. I had the question about Toumani, and then like, are you working every day or not? Like, I was like, okay, Coach. All right. I hear you.
Brooke's here every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
What are you doing here? Yeah. Are you just here for food? Are you here to exercise?
It's not.
But still.
But it was gold. It was priceless.
I don't mind being the foil as long as it
amazing content
comes out with good content. Exactly. It's like the end result is what matters.
Absolutely.
What you had to do to get there, like, do you have to look stupid sometime? Yes. It doesn't matter.
Hey,
if it creates good content, that's the important part.
I thought, as we all know, Robert Williams was excited to come to Portland because he brought his dog.
That's true.
And then we realized that he was talking about Malcolm Brogdon about 2 minutes after that, where I continued to ask about what kind of dog he had. Yeah. So, yeah, we've all been there.
And we have been there. Well, Brooke will be there. I will be here. Thank you for listening. Wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, Spirit Mountain Casino. Elevate your game. We will talk maybe middle of, I don't know, but then we got the holiday too, so
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But Brooke's going to be on the road, and I told her she didn't have to take her microphone with her because it's already a long trip, and she's already
a
lot of stuff too. But, well, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll see how the team is playing. If we're still playing great, I think we probably got to figure something out. If not, maybe we save it.
Okay.
But until then, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back sometime the next soonish. Portland Trailblazers hit the road. Go Blazers. Peace out.